All right, good evening, everybody. We are all ready to start. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:03. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We do not have any adjustments for this evening. Approval of minutes. We do not have a quorum today, so we are going to I'm going to just make a recommendation to approve the minutes for the Monday, October 21st, 2024 workshop at 4:00 p.m. meeting.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor. Thank you. Moving on, public comments. Do we have anybody? Nobody online. Miss Hannah Williams.
There's a button. Yeah, have a seat.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Williams, and I am a mother of two boys, one attending Sanford High School and the other at Sanford Middle School. Professionally, I serve as the nurse manager of ambulatory surgery at Maine Medical Center in Sanford, previously known as Goodall Hospital. I'm addressing you tonight not only as a healthcare professional, but most importantly as a parent. I'm here to express my concern regarding the absence of recess for sixth graders at Sanford Middle School. This change has raised questions among many parents, including myself, as we remember that recess was consistently offered to this age group in previous years when sixth graders were integrated with elementary schools. With the recent school consolidations, however, this practice has ceased, leaving me to wonder why such a fundamental aspect of our children's day was removed. I reached out to Principal Pam Crosby about this issue. Her response, though polite, didn't address the underlying problem. She mentions that students participate in a walk around the building, but from what my son has shared, this happens only twice a week and doesn't seem to provide the active, unstructured break that is typical of a recess. He has also told me that it's challenging for him to concentrate without a chance to release energy, a concern I'm sure other students might share. In his own words, we can't get any energy out, which makes us act out, which makes us get in trouble. Not that my child would ever get in trouble, but I will say that even as an adult, I find it challenging to sit still through a 2-hour meeting, but the difference is that if I got antsy, I wouldn't be sent to the assistant principal's office. I would like to know what research was reviewed before implementing this change. The extensive research I have seen highlights the importance of recess for children, including those through the 8th grade. Studies consistently show that regular physical activity and outdoor play are essential for healthy development. For example, the CDC reports that active children have better attention spans, improved classroom behavior, and enhanced academic performance. The American Academy of Pediatrics also emphasizes the importance of unstructured play for developing creativity, social skills, and problem-solving abilities. Without this crucial break, students lose opportunities to build resilience, manage stress, and develop critical social skills independently. I urge the committee to consider reinstating recess for sixth graders. Research supports that physical breaks during the school day can significantly reduce anxiety and stress, creating a more positive school atmosphere. The benefits of play are well documented, and by reintroducing recess, we can promote a healthier, more productive learning environment for our children. As a concerned parent, I want to understand why this decision was made and whether there's evidence suggesting that sixth graders should not receive the same opportunities for recess as their peers did in the past. There's no question that adding recess to the schedule for all middle school students will bring a valuable academic and physical benefits. Thank you for considering this request, and I appreciate everything all of you do.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay, moving on. No communications tonight. Committee reports.
Sure. The Special Education Advisory Committee met on October 16th. This was primarily a planning meeting. We had a discussion on our areas of focus for the upcoming year. There were 3 things considered. The age group of 3 and 4-year-olds coming into becoming the FAPE responsibility of the school department, being transitioning from CDS. Also, the programming for 18 to 22-year-olds with the recent change there. And then also in one of the topics was behavior. The group felt that behavior is being taken care of as a district-wide focus this year. So the committee's looking at focusing in those 2 areas of having subcommittees. One will be focusing on the transition of 3 to 4-year-olds coming into the school department, as well as the 18 to 22-year-olds. Our next meeting is November 13th at 2:30 at Sanford Community Adult Education. Megan Walter, the Associate Commissioner of Public Education for the Maine Department of Education, and Sandy Flack, the Deputy Director from the Office of Special Services and Inclusive Education from the MDOE, will be attending via Zoom, and they were going to be a resource for us to help discuss the transitioning of the FAPE obligation from Child Development Services for 3 and 4-year-olds to the local school departments. That's a decision that the Maine Department of Education has put a timeline into place for that. And so that's something the Special Ed Advisory Committee wants to look into further, and we'll be doing that on November 13th. Also, as an aside, the Maine Department of Education is also holding an informational meeting for interested SAUs and school departments. That'll be this Thursday, November 7th at 3 p.m. The meeting will be recorded. This information will be recorded and will also be available upon request. So there's some things coming together for that I think will line up nicely for our next Special Ed Advisory Committee meeting. The Wellness Committee report, that's going to be heard later this evening through Steve Boussier's report. Policy Committee, the Policy Committee did meet, and those policies that we talked about are on tonight's agenda later on for a first reading. And then there's a Curriculum Committee. They also met, but Beth Lambert will go over that in her director's report. And the Safety Committee also met earlier today, and I know Steve is also going to reference that in his director's reports coming up. And those are the committee reports.
Okay, thank you. Moving forward to superintendent reports.
Sure. We're going to start off. Elsie, one of our student representatives, is out sick tonight. She's our veteran, so we're going to throw Matt and Zach into the fire here, as they are going to have a little baptism by fire, as they are going to go over the latest Sanford Spotlight that hasn't been released yet, but we'll present it this evening. And then after doing that, both of you, if you have any other updates that you'd want to share for the school committee, go right ahead. But if we could start, Sarah, with the Spotlight. Take it away, boys.
So, the first article, Sanford High School Marching Band put on a gold medal winning performance at the Maine Band Directors Association State Finals right here at home. That was on October 26th. Then a number of students, Sanford High School students, are making a significant impact in the elementary and middle school within the district through a long-standing mentoring program. This initiative began more than 15 years ago and allows high school students to earn elective credits or fulfill community service requirements while providing valuable support to younger Sanford students. Students at Sanford Middle School transferred the Woods at Goen Park into a Halloween attraction on Tuesday, October 29th, continuing its annual Haunted Woods event. At Margaret Chase Smith, clubs have begun in the art room at Margaret Chase Smith. Students in the fall session of the installation and printmaking arts clubs are working together to create an art for the upcoming Veterans Day breakfast. Carjay Lamb Elementary students welcome families for their annual trick-or-treat event. Students and their families enjoyed collecting treats outside of school while showing off their Halloween costumes. Sanford Middle School October Random Act of Kindness was a success, and the Sanford Pride pre-K students have been having a busy and great start to the year, and they recently explored pumpkins and apple picking in the fields trip to McDougall's Orchard. Sanford Regional Technical Center welding net students, under the guidance of instructor Adam Hartford, have begun working on a massive sign that will welcome people to the Alumni Stadium on campus. And Margaret Chase Smith students participated in fire prevention activities. 3rd and 4th graders created home fire escape plans with 2 exit routes and designated meeting places. Then Sanford High School and Regional Technical Center is set to host its annual Career and College Fair on Thursday, November 7th in Partner Bank's Gymnasium, bringing together 80 organizations offering students a comprehensive look at their postgraduate possibilities.
Next is an article from the Spartan Times, which is Sanford High School's student newspaper. Soccer Savannah Night and Cross Country's Isaac Pelletier were the athletes of the week for October 20 to October 26. Savannah Knight is a defensive star on the Sanford Spartan soccer team, and Isaac Pelletier is a cross-country runner. Attached in this article of the Sanford Spotlight is instructions on how you can download the Sanford app. You can get like news and notes about events in your child's school. You can keep up with sports. You can download that at the App Store, and instructions to download it are attached. Sanford School Department would like to remind you that attendance is important. Consistent routines are important to learning and well-being, and we appreciate your effort for getting your child ready for school. Fat Cat Swinger is coming to Sanford High School's Performing Arts Center on November 9th at 7 p.m. The Gear Parent Network is having a free training session on helping your child manage meltdowns on November 14th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Sanford Pride Elementary Library. If you didn't already know, the Sanford School Department offers free meals. At CJL, breakfast is offered to students from 8 to 8:30. At MCS, breakfast is offered from 8 to 8:20. At Sanford Pride, breakfast is offered from 8 to 8:20. At the middle school, it's from 7:10 to 7:40. And at the high school, it's offered from 6:45 to 8:15. This edition of the Sanford Spotlight for the Employee Spotlight features Sam Bonzi. Sam Bonzi has worked for Sanford for 7 years, and his favorite movie is The Longest Yard. This edition's Alumni Spotlight features Isabella Kimball. She is currently occupied in early childhood education. The news.
I'm sorry. Can you go back up to the spotlight of the staff member? That's Mr. Gowan from Ethan. I just want to clarify, it's not Sam. I just want to.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay. I'm like, that's not Sam.
Oh, the wrong name.
So Mr. Ethan Gowan, right?
Gwynn.
Yep, my bad.
Ethan Gwynn.
Gwen.
Yep.
The latest edition of the Main Street Memo features articles such as Have a Seat at the Sanford Performing Arts Center, Sanford Parks and Recreation Fall and Winter Activities, and the YMCA Trafton Center Annual Holiday Fair.
Matt and Zach, nice job for your first time with that. That was impressive, just like your veterans with that. Yeah, kudos to the marching band. I was able to see their performance. They did an outstanding job when we hosted those finals recently. Also, kudos to the JMG program for the Haunted Woods, as that's become an annual tradition that does a very nice job. Also wanted to point out that we do have something in the spotlight where it is a place for community announcements. That's something that I think we want to be able, we get time from time that people will ask us if there's outside agencies and groups if they can do that. And so we really want to beef that up so that there is a way for people to communicate that. They're not affiliated with the school department. There's some disclaimers there, but it is an idea for people to be able to get some information there that I think people will come out as well for it. So a couple of those things. Zach, Matt, any other update from students that you want to share with the school committee this evening? All set? Okay, excellent, excellent. I do have a few things that I would like to talk about as part of my report. The next one is an enrollment update, and we had to certify our enrollment with the Maine Department of Education. This is our October 1st enrollment, so we took a screenshot of our October 1st counts, and I think this is going to be very helpful for people to understand. What that does is we have an attending count, and then we also have students that we receive subsidy for. And so our attending count is down by 17 students when you compare that to October 1st, 2023. Our subsidy count is down by 21 students. I know that's a concern when we start talking about budget and we start talking about the EPS formula. That 21 is going to be averaged with last year's enrollment that we had. So that's going to buffer that somewhat, that 21 is not going to stand on its own. If you look at the equivalent instruction, some of that is some of the homeschool students who will take maybe a course or two at our various schools. That is up by 0.5. There's also the economic status report, and with that, we did have an increase this year of 143 students from where we were in October 1st of 2023. Our special ed counts, we are up by 18 special ed students in comparison to October 1st. Our English language learner counts are up 55 students when you compare us to October 1st of 2023. And then you can see where the breakdown is for our students amongst the various age groups that we receive subsidy for. Our pre-K numbers, by us expanding to the YMCA program and that partnership, we do have 14 more pre-K students than we did last year at October 1st. Our enrollment in K through 2 is down by 82 students. We did have a small incoming kindergarten class. When you look at our K through 8 students overall, that's down only 49 from the 82 in the K through 2 area. When you look at our high school counts, we're up 14 students from where we were last year on October 1st. As I mentioned, the subsidy count overall, we're down 21 students. So I know we pay a lot of attention to that. I do want to give kudos to all of our families who are able to come back and return all of the data that we ask of them. Also want to thank our central office team, Cheryl Fournier and Lur, working really hard for the staff certification, for the student certification. Stacy Bissell in the special ed department, same thing, as we're trying to make sure that that information is as accurate as possible, because for us, Sanford is a high receiver of state subsidy, and we want to make sure that we have all of our numbers. So overall, there is a decrease in enrollment, and that decrease, combined with our valuation continuing to rise, is going to be an impact. But I also expect to offset that impact when you look at other increases in some of these other areas that we receive subsidy for. Any questions on the October 1st enrollment report? All right, we have a couple field trips coming up. Next, not this week, but the week after, our JMG program, 8th graders, they have a program at the Augusta Civic Center in the State House on Thursday and Friday. That will be coming up. That's a trip that they have also done in the past as well. There is the second annual summit for York County legislators. That is scheduled for Thursday, November 14th. That'll be from 5:30 to 7:45 at Sanford High School in the Sanford Performing Arts Center. This is going to be a forum where legislators, those who are elected, municipal leaders, school committees, nonprofit organizations, and others are going to gather to discuss critical issues that our communities are facing here in York County and to identify legislative priorities. During this summit, we will be focusing on homelessness, and we'll review successes and look at 2025 priorities. We're also going to be looking at challenges facing school districts. That'll be a dine and discuss forum with the York County school superintendents and school committees. Our culinary program at Sanford Regional Technical Center will be helping provide the dining aspect of that. And then there's just information and resources to connect with stakeholders. I know I've been very proactive and praiseworthy of the working relationship that we have as the school working closely with our city. You've heard about how superintendents in York County continue to work together. Those partnerships are so important because we want to make sure that the resources that are limited, that we're doing the best alignment of those to make sure we can have the best impact. So we had another planning meeting today with the schools and with representatives from the city and York County Community Action as we plan this evening coming up. I know Steve in his report later is going to give an update on the homelessness piece for that. A couple other things I just want to mention this evening. The Maine School Management Association and the Maine School Board Association and Maine State Superintendents Association had their fall conference recently since our last meeting in Augusta back in October, which included keynote speakers, vendors, and a number of workshops on pertinent topics facing schools. Steve and I were able to attend. Paula and Amy also were able to attend. There's many challenges facing our schools today, but coming from this conference, it's a great resource for us, and it also has us gain an appreciation for all of the hard work we're doing here in Sanford to address those challenges, and also being very grateful for our students and our families and our staff, administrators, community, and our school committee. Sanford Community Adult Education is going to be welcoming local children's author Ashley Ridlin for a special literacy event on Saturday, November 16th, as Ashley will be reading her recent book. The first 50 families who register will receive a free signed copy. In the Sanford Spotlight that Matt and Zach mentioned, you saw the section there that attendance matters. And we'll be talking about that, but I know Steve has led efforts where if you compare our attendance at this same point last year, we're making improvement as we continue to do that. I think that should be celebrated. Also, Sanford Pride Elementary School achieved 100% participation in the recent NWEA fall assessment and the Maine through-year assessments, so congratulations there. Sanford High School once again participated in the statewide Maine State mock election. That was last Monday, October 28th. For that, a great activity and opportunity for our students. Just a reminder that there are no in-person classes for Sanford High School and Sanford Regional Technical Center students tomorrow, as Sanford High School and Sanford Regional Technical Center will be the voting site for the city of Sanford and Springvale. Sanford Middle School Theater Troupe presented their Pure Imagination this past Friday and Saturday at Sanford Middle School. Congratulations to them. Also want to give congratulations to Sanford High School Boys Cross Country Team. They received the Maine Principal Association's Class A Sportsmanship Award for that. The Veterans Day holiday will be celebrated next Monday, November 11th, so there'll be no school day, as our schools are doing a number of different activities to honor our veterans, things from breakfasts to also some concerts, and doing that as we want to celebrate all of those who have served and are continuing to serve. The next Vape Tobacco Committee meeting is going to be a week from tomorrow, Tuesday, November 12th. Sanford Middle School is going to have a motivational speaker and vape preventionist, Rob Holla, speak with their 7th and 8th grade students this Friday at Sanford Middle School. And Sanford Middle School is also co-sponsoring an event with community organizations around mental health conversations. That'll take place on Tuesday, November 12th, a week from tomorrow at the middle school between 5:30 and 6:30. Also, thank you and kudos to the Sanford Middle School for another successful challenge day for our 7th graders. 2 full days with about 50 volunteers and 160 students participating. It's a really big effort. A big thank you to all involved who donated their time or the financial support. And our First 10 team has launched their first monthly First 10 newsletter. You'll be seeing more of that, as we probably will link that in a future edition of the Spotlight. And we'll be talking probably in our December meeting more about those efforts coming back. But kudos to all of the people at Pride Elementary and through our elementary schools who've been able to handle that. And then a couple final things just to announce. Sanford Middle School and High School are celebrating Red Ribbon Week this week. It's an annual national event where we spread awareness about the impact of drugs on health and how to stand up to peer pressure and do other healthy activities. And this Friday, November 8th at the high school, they'll be celebrating a day of welcome with, as part of the Maine Civil Rights Team project, with new stickers, a welcome sign, and interactive activity during lunch with that to help us continue to make sure all of our students feel safe, welcome, and respected for who they are. And that's my superintendent's report this evening.
Thank you very much. Director's reports are next, and Steve Bussier is here to speak to us.
Good evening. The first thing I want to update you on tonight is the work of the Wellness Committee. Last Monday on October 28th, the Wellness team met. The meeting is an opportunity for the representatives of the Wellness team to share various wellness activities that are happening within their buildings. There's good collaboration that happens there. November, we'll be focusing on gratitude, and the buildings will be planning various activities to show gratitude. One of the concerns that came to the Wellness Committee was in regards to caffeine at the high school. This fall, the school nutrition director and staff up at Sanford High School began offering a cold brew beverage as an option with school breakfast in the morning. So if students received a cold brew, they also received a breakfast. The beverage meets the SMART school guidelines. It has 70 milligrams of caffeine, so it meets the wellness guidelines that we have, and it has no sugar. And really the goal behind that was to increase breakfast participation, which David is going to share with you later this evening, but it has done that. The amount of breakfasts we are serving out of the high school, we've seen a substantial increase with that. In addition to the cold brew in the morning, there was also an a la carte beverage that was being sold called Sparkling Ice. And that Sparkling Ice also contained caffeine. And that was being sold during lunchtime. And we also have that beverage in one of our vending machines at the high school as well. And so the concern came to us in that there was opportunities for students to have quite a bit of caffeine during their school day. And so the wellness team discussed the benefits and the negative effects of caffeine on adolescents. And we made a recommendation to David and the school nutrition department to discontinue the sale of the Sparkling Ice as an a la carte item, which David has implemented at this time. We're going to continue that discussion as we continue at the Wellness Committee. The cold brew, David is also looking at a decaffeinated option to provide for students during that breakfast time. So the discussion will continue. When kids get to high school, we want to provide students really with that ability as adults. We have to make choices. And so providing students with education and also giving them the ability to make healthy choices for themselves. And so what we're trying to do is trying to help students make those healthy options, but at the same time getting kids to eat breakfast that sets them up for success. Wellness newsletter went out later this afternoon for staff. In this month's edition, we're sharing information about diabetes, as November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. Also, one of our goals this year is to educate staff on the benefits of their insurance programs that they have. So we shared information about Harvard Pilgrim's fitness rebate, where staff members can get a rebate for signing up for a local fitness club. And for the Anthem subscribers, we shared information in regards to free mental health support 24/7 that's available to staff. And then finally, we rolled out our wellness contest for the month of November. Sort of goes into December 2nd. We're encouraging staff to go outside and get some exercise. And as they were outside, we're encouraging them to take a picture of nature or take a picture of themselves exercising. And they can submit that for a wellness prize through that. Pre-K expansion, we did submit an application last week to the Maine Department of Education to expand pre-K by 16 students. The grant, if we receive the grant, would cover the cost of the ed tech equipment and materials for next year. The cost of the teacher would be covered through increased subsidy that we would receive. And really the hope is to use these funds to increase our capacity to serve our students that require special education within our buildings. So we hope to hear in the next couple of weeks about the outcome of that grant. And once we have, if we receive the grant, we'll bring it in front of the committee for final approval. With that, Safety Committee, we met this afternoon. Our buildings continue to focus on safety through the trainings and practice of drills. We spent some time discussing anonymous reporting as a way to report concerning behavior and threats by students and staff. This would involve setting up a tip line that allows individuals to report concerns anonymously. One option we spent some time considering this afternoon was a See Something, Say Something program that is offered by the Sandy Hook Promise. This is a free program that surrounding districts use, including 57, Kennebunk, and other surrounding districts. Overall, I think Emily was part of that discussion. I think staff saw this as a no-brainer and something that we should continue exploring. So the next step is to bring that information to the administrative team to determine where to go next with that. Now if we could, Sarah, if you could pull up there you go. Just to provide you, I know next week part of the legislative summit is we're going to be talking about homeless, and so I thought it'd be a good opportunity this evening just to give you a brief overview of what homeless is for the school department. So just remember that homeless, the definition for homeless in the school department is defined as lacking a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. So situations specifically described in the McKinney-Vento Act include sharing housing due to a loss of housing, economic hardship, or similar reason, living in hotels, motels, or campgrounds due to lack of adequate housing, living in emergency shelter, or transitional housing, or children abandoned at hospitals. We don't see that last one very often in the school system. It also includes a primary nighttime residence that is not designed for or ordinarily used as a sleeping accommodation for humans, living in cars, parks, public spaces, abandoned buildings, substandard housing, bus or train stations, and migratory children living in one of the circumstances described above. So that definition is a little bit different than you think of the definition that the city uses. Many homeless youth are also unaccompanied. Unaccompanied youth means that they are not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian. Being both homeless and unaccompanied leaves youth fending for themselves in a world where they may be vulnerable to a myriad of potential dangers. For all of these reasons, school can often be the one place of stability, safety, and support in the tumultuous lives of these students. So that's really, when we think about our homeless youth in our schools, it's about stability, offering them stability. Looking at our numbers, if you could back up, Sarah. Looking at our numbers, you see going back to 1920, that year we identified 27 homeless students. If you look at last year, in 23-24, we identified 200 Sanford homeless students. So far this year, as of Friday, we have identified 89 students. Out of those 89 students, 34 students were rolled over from last year. And we have 8 unaccompanied youth currently. And the unaccompanied youth that we have currently, they have housing, but they are unaccompanied, meaning they're staying with friends or relatives. We don't have anybody that's living in a shelter currently. Our homeless youth are staying with somebody.
And Steve, just, thank you for sharing this info. That's not all at the same time either, right? When you look at how those numbers are, that's a total during the school year.
During the school year, correct.
Yeah.
Anytime during the school year, they were identified as homeless, that's what that 200 number is. So out of that 89 that we have there that were identified, we currently have 83 that are currently homeless, identified as homeless,
Based on our definition.
based on our definition, yeah. You want to go to the next slide, Sarah? So in the state of Maine, we look at these, where are our homeless youth? If you look at that big section of this circle graph, that's doubled up. Our families are no different. The majority of our families are doubled up. That dark blue is living in hotels or motels. That next 10% are living in shelters or transitional housing, and that small percentage is living in unsheltered. For the school department, we're no different than that data there from the DOE. The majority of our families are doubled up. We have some folks that are living in the family shelters in town or the domestic violence shelter, but the majority of our families are doubled up. If you want to go to the next slide, Sarah. If we look at unaccompanied youth, so that population we talked about earlier, that green, that big green section is doubled up. That dark green, the darkest green is hotels and motels. If you look at the light green, that's shelters, and then that 3.5%, that is unsheltered, living in cars, parks, campgrounds, temporary trailer. So that's the DOE data in the state of Maine. In our situation here, all of our students this year are doubled up. Now, if you look at the next slide, outreach. We have 3 outreach staff across the district. Shayna Palmer works primarily with pre-K and K at Pride. Leah Marks works in pre-K through grade 4 across all 3 of our elementary schools. And then we have Cecilia Siriani that works with grades 5 through 12. Really, our outreach work really should be working in prevention. Developing relationships with families, identifying what supports families have in place, identifying what barriers they have, and then connecting them to resources. Through our student assistance teams, that's how our outreach staff get the names of families, and that's where the prevention work happens. On the other side of it, they also work directly with our homeless students. They work on identification. They help support to make sure we're getting families to school, getting kids to school, not their families, getting kids to school, and then once again, connecting them with resources. If you had to ask them, they're spending more of their time in reacting mode. The number of homeless students that we just saw, you saw that graph, it's exploded. And so that preventative work they were doing early on, if you look at 19 and 20, they were doing a lot of that preventative work, but the work they are doing now is really that reactive mode that they are in now. We do have funds that we using to support families that are facing eviction. We have funds that we've been supporting families through the Maine DOE. We have been using those funds. The biggest expense we have as a school department is transportation, and that's the biggest challenge we have in terms of supporting our families. So with that,
Do you want to real quick just talk about transportation, what that means? Because oftentimes, as part of what we're doing is trying not to disrupt the schooling aspect And so sometimes if people have to be relocated to other communities outside of Sanford, they will stay with us as a school department, but we do have to transport. Usually it's with where they're living, sharing that responsibility with the other district too.
Yeah, I have an example of an email that came across late this afternoon. We have a student, an unaccompanied youth, that was living in Old Orchard. This is an elementary student living in Old Orchard. We were transporting one way. Old Orchard Beach was transporting the other way to bring them here in Sanford. You may ask, well, why are they here in Sanford if they were living in Old Orchard? Here's a student that we knew the placement in Old Orchard was probably not going to be long-term. And so now this student has moved to a different location, a different town. And so we're working, our transportation department, we've set up transportation one way, and we'll be reaching out to the other district to set up transportation the other way. If we are able to do the cost 50-50 split, each district assumes the bill for that. If for a reason, if we were providing all the transportation due to capacity, we would bill the other district for the other half. And that happens sometimes where we are not able to make transportation work, and so the other district will bill us for the other half. There are also times when families transport. That's oftentimes the first question we ask: are you able to transport? If families are able to transport, and then we reimburse them the mileage to transport their students. And so it's really working with the family, working with neighboring districts to do the best we can to make sure that kids are getting to school without interruption. That's our goal. This is stability. They have caring adults. They get, they're having breakfast and lunch. They got a safe, warm place to be, interaction with peers. That's the stability that's really important. And so you think of the work that's being done, it's important work. And just kudos to our outreach staff, and like Matt said, the city, folks from York County Community Action, because it really is a team effort.
And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have the second annual forum. That's going to be mainly for our legislators, so we can be able to show the unified approach, but also the impacts and the challenges, so that we'll be able to hopefully align resources and to be able to come back and, as Steve mentioned, in some ways be a little bit less reactive and a bit more preventative in our approach to be able to do this.
I would just for clarification though, when you talk about funding, that we receive money from the state to help with this. Correct?
We have
So
various.
it's not the cost of transporting and everything does not come 100% out of the local budget.
Correct.
Just
It does not
explain
come
that
in.
a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah, in terms of funding, we utilize our federal title programs. So we take some money out of that to pay for transportation. The money we have to prevent homelessness, that comes from the DOE. But some of it falls under existing transportation. So if we have a family that's living in Sanford that's displaced, we're making that work with our current existing transportation with no extra funds. Sometimes we have a student that we may have to transport from Old Orchard Beach to Sanford or vice versa. We're using an existing run that goes out to Old Orchard, to one of our special purpose private schools that we have students attend. So it's a variety of resources and funding streams. It's not fully funded.
No.
It's not fully funded, and so there are some costs to the local taxpayers because it's not fully funded.
Right, it's one of those, McKinney-Ventos is one of those, in some ways, unfunded mandates where there have been grants, there have been title funds, there have been things that we try to do our best and work with the other districts to maximize those within the existing resources. But part of the reason we want to be for the legislative forum is to also impress upon them, at least from the school's aspect of it, that it is something that we need those resources for us to be able to to be able to continue.
And its capacity, in terms of transportation in districts across southern Maine, its capacity.
Of
We have
course,
the drivers and the,
I'm going to switch gears.
yeah.
You had me with a coffee. You know I was going to say something. I'm not part of the wellness committee anymore, but you are. I just want to say that I'm totally fine with the coffee being offered at breakfast at the high school level. That's just me, myself, and I, and that's how I feel about that.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over.
Duly noted, Madam Vice Chair.
Duly noted. If that's how we get them to school, by offering them a tiny cup of coffee, I think we're all set.
I also want to mention one of the
Right.
things that there's no sugar. And so if we get students to drink our coffee rather than the Aroma Joe's coffee that has tons of sugar, tons of, it's a healthier alternative, that's also the argument, and kids are eating breakfast. So.
Right.
Good transition to David.
Yes.
I'll take an extra large though. Large though, David. There it is.
You hear me all right? Thank you. I will just touch briefly on the caffeinated beverage program first, before I go into all the great things that are happening in the school nutrition program. Last time I was here in front of the school committee, we talked a little bit about increasing participation, and namely at the high school, which is a challenging place, and kind of one of the big things that we deal with is the competition, right? We have Aroma Joe's, we have Starbucks coming in, and when I first started, it was kind of like, oh, what can we do to kind of combat that? And that's kind of where the cold brew started. It then kind of morphed when I went to the National School Lunch the ANC in Boston, and learned a little bit about this product that I brought on. It can be included with milk, making it part of the reimbursable meal. So then we take a milk, we add this small amount of cold brew with no sugar added, and they then pour the milk in, and that becomes what's called a flavored milk, and it's now part of the reimbursable meal. So it's not like we're really selling this like cold brew, we're really just having it be a carrot to get kids to come in to get breakfast. And we have seen an increase. We're about up 7% from this time last year, and month over month we've seen an increase. It's still tough to get the kids in. We hope maybe also it's giving them a reason to show up maybe a little earlier. But I do understand the negative, maybe some of the negative feedback. I haven't really received a ton of negative feedback, I have to be honest, from parents. Some of the anecdotal things I've heard is well, now my kid doesn't have to go to Roma Joe's and spend $35 with their kid, with a carload of friends, and pay for all those coffees. And yes, we are looking at a decaffeinated option, and I will just say I want to be part of the solution on this. If this is a problem, I will be the first to say, all right, let's pull it, and let's go back to the way we were. I did that with the Splash beverages. I think it was harder for me to defend another beverage that wasn't promoting anything except really a drink with caffeine in it. It is completely allowed in the school lunch program. There are no rules against caffeine at the high school level, so we are within the rules. But again, if the wellness committee wants to say that this isn't okay, I'm going to be right there alongside them and support them in that. And that's really what I'll say about the caffeine program. I'm happy to open up to questions after I talk a little bit about what's going on. I definitely understand as a parent myself, I don't want to look like we're promoting caffeine by any means. And some of the things that came up in the wellness committee is maybe some public service type announcements around it, some signage. I can also limit the amount of caffeine kids are having in my cafeteria by saying we just do that one cold brew, that's it. We don't sell anything at lunch. And we are going to pull the caffeinated beverages at the in the vending machines, which I wasn't super happy about when I heard that. But once you open up to offering a product, they will then put it in all the vending machines because it's now been allowed. It's allowed as Smart Snack compliant. But it's a whole other kind of discussion. So I'll talk a little bit about what's going on in school lunch real briefly. Please bear with me. We have, I'll start with summer. We had a really good summer program. We were able to expand a little bit of our reach by offering what's called non-congregate dining. And when I came on, I noticed that some of the sites people were coming on site. We'll take Carpentier Park, for example. getting their meal and then being told, well, you have to stay and eat the meal here. And the day that I observed when I first started, it was raining. There was only one covered area to stand, and the child literally had to stand there and kind of eat their meal. So we explored this option, and it's really open to most schools in Maine. We're considered a rural setting, which surprised me, being in Sanford. And so all of our meal sites are now non-congregate meal sites. And with that, we saw quite a good increase in participation, namely at Carpentier Park, which was one of our lower performing sites, but I was not going to cut it, as I really felt from the community that it was serving a need in that area. And we saw a 35% increase in participation at Carpentier Park. We did sell upwards of 23,000 meals to the community with our 8 sites serving recreational programs and other community programs, as well as the education programs. Next big thing that happened was we are now offering our fresh fruits and vegetable program at all of our elementary schools. MCS was added this year. With that, we marked it with a kickoff event where I had some help from Casey Marcotte at Maine Health come in, and we dressed up in fun fruit costumes. That was a watermelon, and yeah, good, I'm glad. I heard Matt was looking for some grapes. We didn't have the grapes. But it was great, and it was one of the first times I really got to spend a whole day in the schools with the kids, going to every lunch period. We asked them how they liked the fresh fruit of the day, which was strawberries, which was an easy sell. They all really loved it. But again, shout out to Casey Marcotte for helping make that happen, and Tracy over there welcoming us, and I think it was really successful. The after-school food program at the high school is still running strong. We got that off to a great start my first year. It's just a really good way for high school kids to have a snack in between. We do not offer it on Fridays, but it's offered every day that there is enrichment activities, which is often at Sanford High School, and we've just seen a really good participation in that. I'd say anecdotally it's about 80 to 100 meals a day over there, which is really, really good, and I'm very pleased with how that's going, and my CACF project manager has just done an awesome job keeping that going and promoting it. We've teamed up with the YMCA. As you know, they're doing a pre-K pilot program over there. We're feeding their kids 16 breakfasts and 16 lunches every day, and that's been going pretty well. I'm really happy to help, expand our reach in the community and make that a successful program over there. It is also a small revenue generator for my program. We didn't really want it to be anything we're making money. We're really trying to just break even there to keep that a nice partnership. But there is that positive side effect. I have been in the schools more the last couple weeks with my chef coat on. I did come here with a culinary background. I was really excited to get into the schools and start doing some taste testing. We brought in my friend Nick Rimza from The Good Crust. The Good Crust is one of my favorite companies here in Maine. I call them hyper-local. They're growing grains up in Aroostook. They're milling those grains in Canaan, Maine, at the Grains of Maine, I believe it's called, and they turn those grains into 100% whole grain pizza dough, believe it or not, and it is just excellent. It is not cheap. We do, obviously there's cost associated with the R&D of a product like this, and we do get a 30% discount when we apply for that discount through the state, so there is that. It's not a product I'm ready to bring on a lot because of its cost, but we were able to sample some little mini pizzas. We did breakfast pizzas. We did a little one with cream cheese and blueberries, which was, kind of well received. Some people loved it, some not so much. But it was just really great to give the kids at the middle school a chance to try some new things. We also did a broccoli and cheddar soup. Again, the other day, that day I was full chef mode. I cooked the soup myself, made 100 and something portions in the big kettle. Brought me back to my days in the kitchen, loved it, and it was really, really well received, so well that we had it on the menu a following week. On the first, we tried it the first time where all the schools had to try it, and I think it was well received. It's definitely a learning process getting those recipes worked out. But again, I have to say thank you to all my staff for bearing with me and kind of following me on this path. We are going to start bringing on some more chef-inspired scratch cooking ideas. Slowly but surely, we tried some roasted vegetables. We roasted some broccoli for the first time. We roasted some chickpeas. Some of the best ways to get kids to eat these veggies are roasting them, I'm finding. Roasted broccoli is like almost universally liked by kids. I have to say that. I don't know where it was when I was a kid, but it is delicious. We've implemented some new signage around. You may have seen them. We have some little sandwich boards out in front of pretty much every one of our lines. Just a simple little addition that's actually had a pretty big impact on kids being engaged with what's going on. Some of my artists on staff like to get involved and make those look really nice. So kudos to Diane Tapscott for bringing that on. I think it's made a little effort that's made a huge difference. And the state really loves it when they come to review us and they see all of the signage that's advertising and marketing our programs. We partnered up with the adult ed here in Sanford. We are holding a Serve Safe class, which is a food safety class, this Friday. I wasn't able to get the Serve Safe people to come to the in-service day that we did have, so I'm going to hold my own in-service day on Friday. We are going to make it happen. We have all the staff in place, but I have about 12 of my staff that are going to be over there learning. Please be aware that the menu will be a little bit simpler that day, but we have all our ducks in a row to make that happen. It's a full day, 8-hour course with exam at the end, so fingers crossed all those staff will be certified when that is over. Thank you to the adult ed for that partnership. I hope to maybe continue that in the future. It's really convenient, a great location. You will be happy to know all of our kitchens are squeaky clean. We were inspected by the health inspector at every single one of our kitchens, including Acton, and I'm happy to report that there wasn't a single finding at any one of our kitchens. Again, kudos to my staff for that. Anybody who's worked in restaurants or in food service knows that the health department comes, you get pretty worried, and they almost always find one or two things, whether it's a sanitizer bucket in the wrong place or a mop not hanging up properly, but every single one of our schools, I'll say it again, no findings. Awesome job. So thank you. Thank you to all my staff on that. They do a great job. One of the biggest things that happened this last year was now Sanford schools, all but the high school, are participating under the community eligible provision, which has really opened up us on the administrative ends to free us from all of the free and reduced price forms that we've collected for all these years. Now our participation, or our qualifications, or eligibility rather, are based on our direct certification list. The federal government lowered the threshold by which you qualify for CEP from 40% direct cert to 25% direct cert. So all of our schools, the high school is just about there. We'll get them there this year when their numbers are coming up. We're all going to be CEP, and the claiming procedure is so much easier. And it has really freed us up to start exploring some other things. And I will say that we did have a record-breaking claim this month. We received upwards of $300,000 claim, which is the biggest claim that I've seen here at Sanford. So I think that has a lot to do with CEP, but also the increase in participation we're starting to see. Meals being free is one of the best-selling factors, but we do kind of plateau. And so what I'm doing is trying to tweak around the edges and really get those participation numbers up. I just want to briefly share a couple participation numbers I was just really pleased with. Sanford Pride Elementary School is really sticking out there for me. 85% of our kiddos are eating lunch with us every day, and they have almost 60% participation at breakfast, which is really, really good. And when I started school lunch, 50% participation at lunch was really good. That was before free meals. Things have all changed, but we are hovering around 75% participation at lunch at all of my schools, and around 46% district-wide at breakfast. So we can always do better. I really want to shoot for 80% at all my schools this year. That's my goal. Whether it takes going around the cafeteria and going to those students that are bringing their own lunch and say, what's going on? What does your mom know you can get free lunch and she doesn't have to make this? Or, finding out maybe what we can do to tweak around the edges there. But I just want to say once again, a big giant thank you to my school nutrition staff, from kitchen personnel to kitchen managers. We have faced a lot of challenges, but every single day they show up, and they show up with a smile, and they do the hard work and the good work of feeding our kids. So I just want to say a giant thank you to all of them, because I couldn't do any of this without them. So yeah, thank you to them.
David, thank you. We echo the same thank you to you and for your guidance, leadership, but also to your team who's coming back to be able to do that day in and day out for our kids. And it's great to see the numbers and the participation coming, and also just the collaboration that you're doing, whether it's the from scratch or healthy or more local pieces, and also just coordinating with adult education to make sure we can also do the training classes with that, so.
Yeah, that's been
kudos.
one of my
Well done.
kind of goals, is really expanding our reach and our relationships within the community, and let everybody know that we're here to help, and we're here to make everything better for the kiddos. We're part of that school day, and we're happy to be a part of it. We're really proud to be part of it, so.
I just want to echo what Mr. Nelson just said, and I just love the fact, like, you're just looking outside the box. Like, I think it's getting kids excited, and I appreciate everything that you're doing and have done. I will just say that my athletes at the high school are very much benefit and appreciate the after school. They're not your morning breakfast, because, you know, we're trying to get there by the bell, but they are there after school. So thank you so much.
I want to say the same, but your enthusiasm for school lunch and feeding these children is contagious. And so I can tell that you love what you do, and I appreciate that.
I really do. I have a great job. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, echo everything everybody said. And I also wanted to say that it's always such a pleasure to have you come and speak to us, because it's so great to hear all your ideas and the goals, and just to hear how your staff, I cannot believe that there wasn't a single thing found. I mean, I worked my way through college, Chili's, Applebee's, Olive Garden.
I've been a kitchen manager. I've never had a no finding
that's-
on one of my kitchens, so kudos.
That's crazy. And so exciting to hear about the food from scratch. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
it's
could we
just-
get some samples of that? Like,
Yeah.
could we have school lunch dinner next time?
One of my goals is to get you folks, get staff members more excited about the lunch offerings, because I think you're great ambassadors for the program, right? And so that's something that I'm going to push for a little bit more.
Yeah.
Staff should be eating our food. They should want to get our food. That's something coming.
So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for everything you do.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we get to move from nice food to, here comes Beth talking about curriculum. Yeah, poor Beth. Have to be able to.
I was just telling Cheryl,
That-
he's
that was-
such a...
I just want to say that was not done intentionally.
Yeah,
I do.
sure.
Steve wanted to go first so he could be able to transition what we talked about with the wellness committee, so
That's fine.
Have at it.
David's a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. I don't know how exciting I can make my reports tonight, but I'll try. Yeah. So I'll start with the curriculum committee update. We met and discussed a few key initiatives and some upcoming plans. We reviewed our NWEA fall assessment strategies, and then I talked about how the state every 3 years has to put out an RFP, which is a request for proposal for a new state assessment. It's a requirement that they have to do, even if they're happy with the current assessment. It's something that they have to do, and they asked for volunteers to be a part of the vetting committee, so I did put in for that. It was actually quite a lengthy application I had to fill out. I was like very surprised. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm hoping, I really want to make sure that we have a voice in Sanford. We really do like having NWEA being our state assessment, because it does give us that immediate data, at the same time as also giving us what the federal government and state require. So we'll see. I'll let you know if I get picked or not. October 11th was our professional development day, and I reviewed the plans for that during the curriculum committee. I'll go into some more details in my next report about it. And then I also looked ahead at plans for tomorrow's WSSR-TV sessions that were being outlined. We're focusing more on AI integration, cross-training initiatives in SRTC facilities, instructional practices, and student engagement. I have somebody from the DOE coming from their MLTI Technology Ambassador Program. She's much more skilled at AI than I am, and she's going to do more digging into how do they help show students how to ethically use AI, what it can be used for, and the appropriate way to use it, as well as how they can use it to start enhancing the units they already have. One of the key things in high school is to show kids how what they're learning applies to real life or adult life, and AI can actually help them do that. So that's kind of the plan for tomorrow, so that they can continue to use this new tool to benefit the students first and then themselves as well. Let me see, then the committee also asked to review the professional development process for our teachers. So I shared with them the Marshall rubric, which our teachers use to do a self-evaluation at the beginning of every school year. Based on that self-evaluation, they then create a SMART goal for themselves. They find an area that they feel that they want to grow a little bit in, and that's what they create their SMART goal on. So I kind of went over that with them. Then I gave them an update on my curriculum newsletter, asked if they had any feedback, and they said to make sure that the primary contact, if you had questions, was, you know, front and center. So if anybody wanted to reach out to me if they had questions or comments, they could do that. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 19th. And that committee meeting will be looking at the universal screener, which is given to the elementary students, or the teachers use it in the elementary to give some feedback about students as far as behaviors and other components. And the committee just wanted to learn a little bit more about that. So we will do that. And then we'll continue to review our fall assessment data and the implementation. And the best fun of all, we begin budget planning for the 25-26 school year. So I'm really excited to share that with them. So that was our curriculum committee. And then I'll move on to give you a little more details about our workshop day, if you don't have any questions about the committee notes. Okay? Okay, I'm really trying. Okay, I wish I had a presentation tonight. So our recent teacher workshop day provided targeted professional development across all grade levels and specialties based on staff feedback. We really try to gear, it's not an easy task to create professional development for an entire community of learners, grades pre-K to 12. And we do that based on what they're telling us their needs are. Their needs, the students' needs, and we work on that to create professional development for them. So the morning session featured DIBELS training for our elementary teachers. That is our new it's one of our screeners for it. We use it for dyslexia screener, but it also helps us understand where our kids are in their learning of their phonics and the phonemic awareness and those early literacy skills. And so the teachers had finished administering the assessments, but they wanted more support on, okay, what are the reports telling me? How do I dig into it? What does this mean for my students? So that's what we gave for them for 3 hours that morning. And our pre-K and kindergarten staff were engaged in valuable training with other community childhood providers. They all spent the day at Margaret Chase Smith School, and learned a lot together, and the feedback from that was very positive, and they all look forward to spending more time with more community members as they learn together. A significant portion of our day was also, as I said, dedicated to AI in education, with sessions held for elementary specialists and secondary staff at the middle and high school. The afternoon brought focused work in several key areas. Our grades 1 through 4 teachers dove into math running records training, which is, we found over the years that our students struggle in their math fluency, their fact fluency, and it's more than just flashcard training. There's more to it for them. And if they struggle in fluency in their elementary as they get up in grades, as the math progresses, if they can't quickly do those multiplication, division facts, those algebraic equations become more and more difficult and they struggle. So the math running records helps us understand how our kids are coming up with answers, and we help them find and teach them more efficient strategies for it. And that's what builds their math fluency. So the teachers had an afternoon training with that. Our math title staff concentrated on intervention strategies and working on a new Tier 3 math intervention program that we purchased for them. And also the literacy dug into DIBELS interventions to see how it would help support their students in Tier 3. Secondary teachers spent their afternoons in department-specific work addressing Tier 1 instructional practices, regulated classroom strategies, and Wabanaki studies integrations to work on one of the new outlines from the DOE. Let's see. Throughout the day, specialized sessions were also provided for various support staff, including MLL students, our teachers, nurses, counselors, And this workshop day reflected our commitment to both academic excellence and comprehensive student support. And we really tried to focus on areas of assessment and instruction that will really help our teachers support our students in the classroom. And we've reviewed the feedback. The feedback was positive, and it also gave us really good next steps for ERDs that the admin have already been given and I've already started implementing. So I think it's one of the more successful ones we've done. So I was very proud of the work that we did. And finally, our NWA testing window has now concluded. It closed on October 25th. So now what we're doing is we're taking that data as a district, as a school level, and as a classroom level, and we're starting to look at it to identify what do we see for trends, what do we see for patterns, what does that mean for our instruction? Because really what we're doing this fall kind of gives us a starting point to help support our students when we give them the assessment again in the spring with a goal of really showing meaningful growth. That is our goal for our students. We want to see that they've grown over the course of the year with our instruction. So we're just in the process of starting to dig into that information at this point. So, and those are my 3 reports. Any questions?
That was a lot.
It was a lot. I don't usually talk that much.
I'm glad that I went through it once already, though, because I am on the committee. No, I've said it before. I just think it's amazing work, and I don't know how everything is organized and planned so well. And I was so glad that you got such good feedback from everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
We're
awesome.
really trying, we try really hard to listen to teachers and hear what they need and really try to streamline and focus not on a lot of things, but some really good quality professional development for them, and they seem to appreciate that. So,
And let's not forget that this is a tremendous amount of work for everybody, individually and collectively, and that's above and beyond and on top of teaching and lesson planning
Correct.
and everything else. So that's amazing.
But a lot of organization goes into it, so
Yeah.
to make it happen, so thank you.
you're welcome. That's what I'm here for. So,
And may I say that you too also look like you love what you do.
I do. I do very much. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Cheryl, do you have food for us or anything? You brought chocolate, right?
That would be Beth, brought you chocolate.
All right.
You know, now we get to go to the really exciting stuff, math. So I'm here to do an update on our new financial package that we've been implemented on October 1st. Today, we started the process of completing our first payroll on our own, no hand-holding. So it's a little stressful, but we'll make it through it. We've done 197 staff payments, with 48 of those being coaches, which is a separate payroll through this system. We've initiated 207 electronic contracts. 95% of them have already been electronically signed, so no more paper. I won't use all the words, the same words I used last time. 217 vendor checks have gone out. 564 purchase orders have been created. And budget training happened on Friday, and the kickoff for the budget actually happened last Friday. So yes, budgets are already in process. We had 2 training sessions, and all of our admin assistants and department heads all joined that, and they seem to be in there entering stuff already. And it seems pretty easy. Things in the process, I'm trying to work on my first bank reconciliation system. I'm still trying to figure that out. I haven't been trained on it yet, but I'm trying to figure it out so I can get that to the city. Position control is 98% done, so that should be pretty much done probably at the end of this week. Position budgeting will be getting kicked off because that's a big piece of the new budgeting software, and working on reporting and what people would like for that. My to-do list from the startup of ERP Pro is down to 1 item. Super excited. So that's my update on the new software.
Thank you, Cheryl. Once again, kudos to you and your team. It's very challenging anytime you're able to come back and do that, but there's been a lot of training involved, that a lot of time, but I think it's been well worth it in terms of seeing that. So thank you to you and your team.
Thank you. Thank you. And they've really, almost everybody has really liked the new system, which is kind of cool. That's awesome, because you always worry about that when you start a new system. So, on to financials, even more exciting stuff. So the August financials, I'm probably just going to hit a couple highlights on this because I have the September ones right behind it. So why talk about something that is super old? This year is a little bit of an unusual year for us because the 3 payroll month was in August, which actually rolled into June, because all of your teachers and ed techs get rolled into the prior year. So when you start looking at some of our statements, it's going to skew things a little bit, but I will try to explain that. So right now, the August financials are running about $36,000 below budget, and it's running about $800,000 more than budget. But that's because of that extra payroll in there. But revenue is running about $346,000 above prior year. Our federal grants, because any revenue you receive before August 31st has to be rolled into the prior year. And so we have no real revenue in most of our grants because of that. So federal grants, we have $148,000 worth of expense and 0% in revenue. Enterprise fund, $181,000 in revenue, and that's mostly because of the summer program, summer lunch program, and expenses of $212,000. ESSER, we've only had expenses of $56,000 and no revenue. In other funds, we've had 0 revenue and $19,000 worth of expenses. So on to September, which I know she has over there, she's going to put up for me. So when I said it kind of skews the data a little bit because of the way the payrolls are running, it looks like we're like $2.6 million below budget. I'm going to have to figure out how to fix the percentages, but I haven't had a chance to figure that out, and that's because of that extra payroll. And so it makes it look like we're way below our expenses, but we're really not. And so it looks like we're over when you look at prior year expense because of that extra payroll that happened. So it just is one of those things, and I'll try to fix that for the next set of financials. And for revenue, we're $511,000 above on revenue. So we're starting to see revenue come in for our federal grants, and so we have $386,000 worth of federal revenue, and expenses of $343,000. Enterprise funds, of course, which is mostly our nutrition, which has $208,000 worth of revenue and $492,000 worth of expenses. ESSER, which is getting ready, has finished as of the end of September, so we have revenue of $977,000 and expenses of $269,000. And then for other funds, which are mostly just Perkins, SRTC, $15,000 worth of revenue and $57,000 worth of expenses. So when we get into the cost centers, most of this is revenue. I kind of looked it up and went through, and I couldn't find anything other than revenue, except for salaries. So we're running $570,000 in Article 1 for regular instruction, and that's that one less payroll. And so it kind of has the same theme going all the way through. Same thing with Article 2, we're $272,000 below on using the percentage basis that we have in the past. And so that's that third payroll. Article 3 also is mostly the article, but it doesn't skew it quite as much with them because they also have some expenses that they bought earlier this year, so it doesn't look as much. Article 4, that one is mostly due to arbiter's payment went in October instead of September this year. And so that's just a skew of that. In October, it should look normal because the number of payrolls doesn't really affect that department. Article 5, we're running right about $22,000, slightly above budget, mostly due to curriculum purchasing of lots of goods this year at the very beginning because we don't have the ESSER money as much anymore. So that's going away. So that is why that looks like we're above budget, but we are fine with that. Article 6 is also to do with the payroll, $46,000 below budget. That's a very small, doesn't have a whole lot of people in it, so it doesn't skew it quite as much because that's central office. Article 7 is a rate at 11,000, rate compared because it doesn't matter for them because they actually are July through June contracts, so they actually had the third payroll in August and a third payroll in September the prior year, so that's why that one doesn't look skewed. Article 8 is just timing on some of the invoices this year, so it looks like we haven't paid anything, but it's just timing in some of those allocation of mostly the outside placement that happen over the summer and the transportation with that, so it's mostly the special ed and homeless stuff. Article 9 is running about $89,000 below budget. That one I am not worried about. He has a bunch of stuff in process, and he is running about $39,000 below last year. There is no Article 10 because we don't have any payments due until towards the end of October, so you'll start seeing that one have money being spent out of it in October. And Article 11 is $2,000 above budget, just timing on stuff, and they are $4,000 running above last year, but it's just timing on a few things.
Who's Article 11, Chair?
Article 11 is PAC and Sarah Schnell.
Okay.
There's the only people in that, so it's one little thing makes that bump really quick. It's a very small department. And adult ed, we're running about $15,000 below budget and about $55,000 above last year. They have, a lot of it's the MMO. You don't have those, and that's it. That's your September financials.
Cheryl, you mentioned the payrolls. Any other concerns that you have when you're looking at where we are through the September financials in comparison to years past?
No, there's really nothing seems to be going, nothing seems to be sticking out as an issue as of right now. I kind of cruised through all of that today just for a double check. Anything else? Any questions?
I'm sorry. I'll make a motion to approve the August 2024 financials as presented.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? All in favor.
And I'll also make a motion to approve the September 2024 financials as presented.
I second that.
All in favor? All in favor. Thank you. Thank you for all your work.
You are also awesome.
You also really love what you do, don't you?
Yes.
Thank
She
goodness.
loves the number, that one.
Thank goodness. Yeah, you
We
really
do. Yep. Cheryl likes her math.
Okay, moving on. We don't have any old business, resignations and retirements.
Yeah, a couple resignations to announce. Karen Bissell, high school ed tech. Sarah DiStefano, special education life skills teacher at the middle school. And Carol Turgeon, ed tech 2 at Carl J. Lamb. And Katie Spolnick, kitchen personnel at Carl J. Lamb. A number of appointments to announce, and mostly substitute teachers and tutors, and a few custodians. Mary Labby is kitchen personnel for the district. Jeff Balmer, second shift custodian at Pride, Brittany Trott and Dana Plant, and Kyle Berry and Kaylee Gertson as substitute teachers. Candace Day, second shift custodian at the middle school. John Edmonds, long-term substitute for SRTC in the culinary program. Thomas Farron, a third shift custodian at the high school in SRTC. We're able to hire some tutors, which I think, I know the special ed office was very happy with, and that's Sue Pettit, Ashley Goodyear, and Jessica St. Clair. And then we also have a custodial sub, and that's Condi Nisimba for the district as well. In terms of Schedule B, Schedule C, and Schedule D appointments, a number of those to announce. I'm going to highlight, rather than read them all, I will talk about the upcoming winter coaches that will be leading our athletic teams at the middle school and the high school. Anna Lane for indoor track, Jacob Mills, varsity boys basketball coach, Matt Willett, JV boys basketball coach, Rossi Kierson, girls varsity basketball coach, Taylor Tarr, JV girls basketball coach, Stephanie Stoney, the head unified basketball coach at the high school, Jamie Lovejoy, girls basketball coach at the middle school. Amanda Roy was nominated with this one out, but she has resigned her position with taking another opportunity has come up for her. So we'll be looking to fill that position. Nate Mann and Chris Kumpka as middle school basketball coaches, Katrina Wade and Jennifer Capel as cheerleading coaches at the high school, and Jennifer's at the middle school. Nate Smith is the head wrestling coach, Brent Coleman is the assistant coach, Magnus Lewis as indoor track coach at the high school. We had Lisa Miller, Vicky Payer as part of the Ed Tech Authorization Committee. We have a number of our building level coordinators when it comes to certification for our staff throughout the district. Nick Erickson and Angie Labby will be the co-chairs of the PLCSS pieces. We also have a lot of mentors for our probationary teachers that we're announcing here. Very appreciative of those mentors who do a nice job in helping transition our new staff into that. So whole numbers there, and you can see those on the screen. A couple transfers to announce. Ashley Richardson moving into an Ed Tech 1 position from our sub list over at Margaret Chase Smith School. And at Sanford Community Adult Education, Tiffany Bork is moving into the career advisor position at Sanford Community Adult Education. And I do have one staff nomination for the school committee to take action tonight. Kyle Hayes, general music course teacher at Sanford Middle School. Justin Petrick, who was in that position, had an opportunity to go back to New York. Position opened up there back where he was from. He took advantage of that. We wish Justin the best of luck. But we were able to take Kyle for that position. He is currently in another position in another district. And so you see the start date there of December 2nd. We're planning hopefully to start him the Monday after the Thanksgiving break. The hope would be maybe sooner, but that would be dependent on that other school district. So looking for a recommendation to approve Kyle's nomination.
I make a motion to accept the nominated professional staff as presented.
I second that.
All in favor? All in favor? Okay. Moving forward, policies and procedures, executive summary.
Good evening again. I have a policy and a couple of procedures for you tonight for first reading. I worked with Carrie Hansen to update these documents here. So the first one is policy IJNBD. The updated policy now includes provisions for educating students on safe online behavior, covering topics such as social media interactions, the risks of hacking, and awareness of sexting and cyberbullying. The superintendent or their designee is tasked with incorporating age-appropriate internet safety and digital citizenship training into the curriculum, as well as documenting this training. We do provide digital citizenship education through our libraries and through our English classes, and so this just put that education component into this policy. Procedure IJNBD-R, the updated procedure outlines consequences for violating computer use rules, including potential limitations or revocation of privileges and disciplinary action. It emphasizes that students have no expectation of privacy when using school computers, and it introduces detailed rules for school-issued devices covering proper use, parental responsibility, and consequences for misuse. And then there's been some minor language changes throughout the document that does not change the meaning. At procedure GCSA-R, the updated procedure outlines new restrictions regarding software installation and copying, emphasizing that all downloads must be approved by the system administrator to avoid potential legal penalties. It clarifies that employees, similar to students, have no expectation of privacy when using school computers, networks, or email systems, as well as all activity is subject to monitoring by the school unit. Additionally, some language has been added to reinforce our authority over all computer systems and supervision rights. And my recommendation is to accept the first reading of policy IJNBD and procedure INJBD-R and procedure GCSA-R as presented.
I make a recommendation to accept the first reading of policy IJNBD, procedure INJBD-R, and procedure GCSA-R as presented.
All in favor? All in favor.
And I have three policies for you tonight for a second reading. The student memorial policy, we had updated that last spring. The updated policy makes a couple more clarifications. The first one is in regard to the yearbook, allowing for a memorial page honoring and remembering the students who have been lost, and also a piece in there about graduation, where a moment of silence can be observed during the ceremony to remember those we have lost. Policy CA administration goals, that was updated to clean up some of the language. The last time that was updated was 1989. And policy CB, school superintendent, the updated policy offers a comprehensive definition of the superintendent's role, detailing appointment procedures, school committee relations, and authority. And I recommend to accept the second readings of policy K, CA, and CB.
Okay, I make a recommendation to accept the second reading of policies K, CA, and CB as presented.
All in favor? All in favor. Thank you so much, Steve. Excuse me. Next is items for future agendas. Would you like to comment on it, or?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, items for future agendas is that we've discussed having a workshop regarding the middle school schedule, just so that we can get more clarity. I think also, given that we did it's similar amount of students from the high school, and we had, a very, very deep dive a year ago into that schedule, so I think it would be smart of us to also do a deep dive into the schedule at the middle school as well.
I'd also like to see the data that was requested this evening regarding middle school recess, what their policy is over there on recess, and how that's handled.
I was going to say I would like to add recess to the workshop conversation. I'm sure as we're discussing schedule, it'll come up. Okay. All right, moving forward, calendar announcements.
Sure. Tomorrow is Election Day in Sanford Springville. The location will be Sanford High School, Sanford Regional Technical Center. Matt and Zach, no school for you tomorrow in person. It would be it'll still be a remote day, but asynchronous for that. So good luck with that. We also have, Wednesday will be the next Sanford School Legacy Foundation meeting will be Wednesday at 4 o'clock. This Thursday, the high school and technical center are hosting the career and college fair. So Matt and Zach, hope you get an opportunity to be able to check that out on Thursday. Policy committee meeting on November 18th. That would be a Monday, 2 weeks from today. Looking also to have a school committee workshop. With that, looks like we're looking at the middle school schedule and folding in recess to that. Then also a curriculum committee meeting on Tuesday, November 19th at 8 a.m. And then we also, we'll have a policy committee in December on Monday, December 16th. A school committee meeting in December will be Monday, December 2nd, right here in the chambers. And then a policy committee meeting and a school committee workshop on Monday, December 16th. Scheduled. And I think we're looking at, when I met with Paula and Amy, the chair and vice chair this morning, I think we're looking at school counseling, taking out that December 16th workshop to be able to come in and look at resources and things there. So that's the tentative plan for upcoming calendar announcements.
Thank you very much to everybody that came tonight. I make a recommendation to adjourn at 7:39.
So moved.
That's it? Oh, you seconded? Yeah. All in favor? All in favor? Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Matt and Zachary, great job.